Salamat po sa mga taong nagbabahagi ng salita ng Diyos sa social media. Lagi ninyong sineshare yung mga homily namin dito. Lagi ninyong sineshare sa mga kapamilya ninyo, mga kaibigan, yung aming mga online mass. Salamat sa inyo. We thank all people who have shared the Word of God. There are social media influencers.
My dear brothers and sisters, it is natural for us to desire stability. We want to land a stable job. Because if we move from one job to another, from one work to another, that could be perceived as indecisiveness and instability. We want to have stable and long-lasting relationships. We want a stable life. Kaya nga yung mga dalaga at binata, kapag dumating na sa tamang edad, sasabihin nila, gusto ko nang lumagay sa tahimik. At yung katahimikang yon ay stability. We want stability. Kahit nga po sa pagsisimba ninyo, may stability rin. May mga tao na talagang magsisimba ng ganitong oras. We want stability because stability means security. And stability gives us comfort. Kapag stable ang lahat, parang payapa tayo. Kapag stable ang lahat, kampante ang ating kalooban. But my dear brothers and sisters, while we desire stability, it is also a fact of life that many times God calls us to instability. And this is the story of our readings this second Sunday of Lent. In our first reading today, God commanded Abram to go to a land that God will point out to him. Now, if Abram were still young, it would have been an adventure. Kung bata pa si Abram at sinabi sa kanya ng Diyos, pumunta ka doon sa lugar kung saan kita dadalhin, yung mga bata, adventurous pa yan. Titingnan nila yan bilang challenge sa kanilang buhay. Pupunta at pupunta sila dyan. But Abram was no longer young. He was already in his 80s. At pinapalipat pa siya ng lugar ng Diyos. Pwedeng-pwede namang magdahilan na si Abram. He could have just said, Lord, I'm already old. I'm already stable here. I am already used to my life here. Dito na ako tumanda. Ito na ang kinasanayan kong buhay. It will be very difficult for me to go to a new place and start life all over again. So may I just stay here for stability's sake. But thank God, Abram listened and obeyed God. And because Abram listened and obeyed God, even though the call of God is instability and even insecurity, because Abram followed, he was greatly blessed by God. He was not only given a land, he was promised descendants. What an incredible blessing. In our second reading today, St. Paul counsels Timothy. St. Paul tells Timothy, bear your share of hardship for the gospel with the strength that comes from God. Now, Timothy, as a disciple of the Lord, as a missionary of the Lord, could have preferred to preach the gospel to a people who are willing to listen and accept the word of God. Mas payapa, mas panatag kung yung pagpapahayagan ng salita ng Diyos ay handang makinig at handang sumunod sa salita ng Diyos. But St. Paul tells Timothy, in preaching the gospel, there will always be hardships. And part of that hardship is to go to a place you are not sure of. To preach to people who would not listen to you. To go to people who may persecute you because of your faith in Jesus. Part of being a missionary is the call to instability. Kahit na gustong-gusto mong dito na lang, hindi na lang ako pupunta sa ibang lugar. Pero pag tumawag ang Diyos, ang misyonero susunod. Dahil doon nais ng Diyos na siya'y magpahayag ng salita ng Diyos. And in our gospel, we heard the story of the Transfiguration of Jesus. Jesus showed His glory. It was a glorious moment. No wonder Peter said, "Lord, it is good that we are here. Let us just stay here. I will build 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Dumito na lang tayo. Kasi dito masarap ang pakiramdam. Dito malayo tayo sa problema. Dito walang problemang kakaharapin. Luwalhati lamang ng Diyos ang ating mararanasan. Let us just stay here where there is stability, security, and glory. What more can we ask for?" But Jesus, after the Transfiguration, invited His disciples to go down the mountain, to face the instability and vulnerability of life, to face the suffering and death that awaits Him in Jerusalem. Now that vulnerability and instability led Jesus to His authentic glory. Yung luwalhati na nakita nila sa bundok, patikim lamang yon. Pero yung luwalhati ng muling pagkabuhay ni Jesus, pagkatapos niyang harapin ang kanyang paghihirap, pasanin at ipako sa krus, yun ang tunay niyang kalwalhatian. My dear brothers and sisters, we all want to be stable and secure. We all want to be stable and comfortable. But there are times when God calls us to instability. We would have preferred that life will be stable. We do not want to rock the boat. We do not want to challenge the status quo. Sasabihin natin, kinasanayan ko na to. Ganito na talaga kami. Ito na talaga yung buhay namin. Bakit pa natin babaguhin? But there are times in our life when God would really rock the boat of our life. When God will challenge the status quo. When God will lead us to instability. Not to disturb us, but to bring us to something greater and better. As Abram, as Timothy, as Peter, James, and John, and as Jesus experienced. Minsan talaga, kahit na gusto nating stable ang ating buhay, aalugin ng Diyos ang ating stability. Hindi dahil gusto niyang manggulo ng buhay, kundi dahil sa kanyang pang-aalog sa ating stability, madadala niya tayo sa mas mga dakilang biyayang inihanda niya para sa atin. Sabi ni Pope Francis, minsan ganyan lang yung mentality natin bilang mga Kristiyano sa ating buhay, sa ating pamilya, sa ating mga parokya at mga komunidad. Yung bang preserve lang, ganyan lang, conserve lang, wag nang baguhin, wag nang galawin, panatag na tayo dyan, secured na tayo dyan. Pope Francis said, we have to get out of that maintenance mode. Because Christian life is not just about maintaining stability and maintaining the status quo. Pope Francis said, we have to be in a constant missionary mode, not maintenance mode. And what does it mean to be in a missionary mode? It is being open to new things, to new ideas, to new perspectives, and to new ways. At kadalasan kapag bukas tayo sa mga bago, nagiging vulnerable tayo, nagiging unstable tayo, nagiging insecure pa nga tayo. Pero dadalhin tayo niyan sa mga mas dakilang biyaya ng Diyos. My dear brothers and sisters, stability is not really wrong. Stability is also God's gift to us. And we should aspire for stability. But stability only brings us security. When God calls us to instability, let us not hesitate. Let us not refuse. Let us listen. Let us follow. And let us obey. Because the call to instability oftentimes is God's way of leading us to something better, to something greater. It is God's way of pouring upon us His abundant and amazing blessings.